My name is Vienne. My husband's name is Tomiwa. We lead the South region in the London church. And we're being sent by God to go to Amsterdam. I'm super excited by that. But I just really want to start off by saying thank you, Elena, because I really deeply felt super cut by your lesson. How you just spoke about the souls of the nations that don't have a church yet, that really hits me, because I see in my own life that the problem is I am too blind to see the bigger picture, to focus on the obvious and not spiritual enough to see that God really has a bigger plan. And I'm sorry for just being too focused on myself or on things that are around me as a mom or as a ministry leader or just small things and not focused on the big picture, and that hurts people. So thank you so much for your amazing lesson and your amazing example. If people are not changing, they have become religious. And this is me. This is what I was just saying. I think I have a man of God in my life, and he's placed in my life because God placed him there. And if I'm not changing, and if I'm not submissive to him, if I'm prideful, if I'm independent, if I'm fighting him, then that's a problem. That's a serious sin. And if people in your church are not changing, it's because they have adopted being a disciple as another religion. And they lost the dream, and they're not seeing the miracles or glory in their life. And this can produce similar fruit. You can have people in your church, in your ministry, that will have that fruit. They pass on that fruit as well, on studying the Bible and just see it as something, as a religion and not as a dream to evangelize the nations in this generation. So, and how are you recognizing this? It starts by ourselves. Are you changing? Have you changed over the last few days in your quiet times? Has God spoken to you? Have you been changing? Or haven't you changed in like weeks, months, or years? Have you stayed the same? Turn your Bibles to 1 Samuel chapter 25. The antidote for if there's no change, so if there's religion in your church, the antidote is submission, radical submission. So the title now is Radical Submission. Let's read 1 Samuel 25. We're going to read about Abigail. The man of God in your life, sisters, they want to help us to become more like Jesus. They're not there to fight you. They are there to lead you to heaven. And if you're married, you need to start submitting to your husband. If you are single, you need to start submitting to your leader, who is your region leader, your church leader, the leader that God has placed in your life. We're going to pick it up in verse 25. It says, 23, when Abigail saw David, she quickly got off her donkey and bowed down before David with her face to the ground. She fell at his feet and said, "Pardon your servant, my lord, and let me speak to you. Hear what your servant has to say. Please pay no attention, my lord, to that wicked man Nabal. He's just like his name. His name means fool, and folly goes with him. And as for me, your servant, I did not see the men my Lord sent. And now, my Lord, as surely as the Lord your God lives, and as you live, since the Lord has kept you from bloodshed and from avenging yourself with your own hands, may your enemies and all who are intent on harming my Lord be like Nabal. And let this gift which your servant has brought to my Lord be given to the men who follow you. Please forgive your servant's presumption. My Lord, your God, will certainly make a lasting dynasty for my Lord, because you fight the Lord's battles, and no wrongdoing will be found in you as long as you live. Even though someone is pursuing you to take your life, the life of my Lord will be bound securely in the bundle of the living by the Lord your God. But the lives of your enemies he will hurl away as from the pocket of a sling. When the Lord has fulfilled for my Lord every good thing he promised concerning him, and has appointed him ruler over Israel, my Lord will not have on his conscience the staggering burden of needless bloodshed, or of having avenged himself. And when the Lord your God has brought my Lord success, remember your servant. So what can we learn from Abigail? First of all, I don't know about you, but I have just read the word Lord a lot of times. Abigail is focused on God, sisters. She is totally focused on God in everything she does. Abigail is humble. I mean, the key of radical submission is humility. Proverbs 22 verse 4 says, humility is the fear of the Lord. Its wages are riches and honor and life. Humility is the fear of the Lord. Abigail was more afraid of God than of anything else. And her fear of God gave her humility. She spoke with humility. She's focused on God. And Abigail's beauty is how she speaks with great wisdom. She chooses her words very wisely. She says, for example, in verse 27, the gifts are for the men who follow David. That's wise. That is to not break David down or being down on David, but it is about building David up. And I'm really, really amazed by our spiritual mothers in the faith, Elena and Michelle, because 1 Peter 3, it says, but let it be the inner beauty of a hidden person of the heart, with the imperishable quality of an unfading charm and of a gentle and peaceful spirit. One that is calm and self-control, not over-anxious, but serene and spiritually mature, which is very precious in God's sight. There are these beautiful women, not in how loud they are, but how submissive they are, and how much they see that the man of God who's in their life is there to lead them to heaven, and to teach them to fear God above all else. I really, really want to put it on your heart today that we need to really value our leaders, to see them as a gift from God, and to really build them up and be humble, but just to see God through it. In Romans 12, verse 17 to 19, it says that it is up to the Lord to avenge. And I think the most powerful thing that Abigail did was to keep David from bloodshed and avenging himself. And at this point, David was not the ruler yet. So imagine what would have happened to the whole story of David if he did take bloodshed and avenged himself. So to really see from Abigail, we can really learn that Abigail was there because of God sent her there at that point to really help the man of God. And I think we as women, we need to go there to really be a helper, be there to support, to lift up, to build up the men, our leaders. And I think we really need to deal with the independent, prideful spirits that we have in our ministry. We have to teach them the fear of God so that they can become that they can change to become the women as in Proverbs 31 and in 1 Peter chapter 3. You can study that out for yourself. And I'll close with this. In Hebrews 13, verse 17, it says, have confidence in your leaders and submit to their authority, because they keep watch over you as those who must give an account. Do this so that your work can be a joy, not a burden. Be submissive to your husband. In 1 Peter 3:1, it says, because the responsibilities entrusted to the husband or the leader, they are accountable to God. I think we really need, with each other, we need to see God through it. That the man, the leader, be submissive, be changed by it, so that they can do the work of God, because they ultimately are responsible to God. So if we can be submissive with the fear of God before our leaders and our men, then they can lead us to heaven. But we really need to deal with our own heart, not be religious, but to really, really change, and let's to be used by God and the man of God. So let's go after the fear of the Lord. I love you all. Thank you so much.